Well, first I wanna, this might be the last episode of our podcast here for what I gotta say. I got,
Oh no.
yeah, I got a problem, Seattle, and just going outside and dealing with the people that I deal with on a daily basis outside. I'm not talking about the people at my work. I'm talking about just the general civilian population here in Seattle. I want to talk about the biggest problem Seattle has, and it's not the Mariners, and that's a huge problem. You know how I feel about the Mariners.
Yes, I do.
It's not the Seattle Seahawks. Russell Wilson, Pete Carroll going through their marriage thing, but it we the children of Seattle will be okay. Mom and dad is gonna figure it out. We gonna be okay. I wanna talk about this virus that's going on in Seattle that people refuse to acknowledge or they don't believe they have it. But it's akin to the movie They Live with Roddy Piper. You remember that movie
Hmm.
where only he can see it.
Right.
You see people for who they truly are, and that's what African Americans deal with in Seattle or in other minorities. But
Mm.
I'll talk from a black man's perspective because I'm a black man. I wanna preface before I go into Seattle's ass, saying that I am currently at this time married to a white woman. I have been for 12 years, and my children are biracial, but they are going to be seen as black men to the general population. I want to try and make this a better place for them and for myself. But Seattle, y'all got the virus called racism problem out here, and it's not that blatant down south. Get off my lawn racism. It's that covert racism, and that's to me that's the worst kind. I want to go into. There's this one comedian that says uh, the difference between like the liberal racism and the conservative racism. The conservative racism, they'll be like, "Go back to Africa," but the liberal racism, they're like, "I've been to Africa," and so it's real subtle racism. It messes with you though if you're a minority here in Seattle, and it makes you question yourself as a black person. It's gotten so bad for me that I began to question my own intelligence, my own capacity to understand certain things. People here talk to you as if you're slow. They praise you for completing the simplest of daily tasks. They only care, or they'll praise you. People will come up to me, random people I don't know, and praise me for taking care of my black children. There's this superiority complex that they have about themselves. The white people here in Seattle, and it seems like the richer they are, the more of the subtle racism that they have. Yeah, I told you about Lynn, this retail store that I worked at uh, a long time ago.
Hmm.
I'm not going to say the specific name of that retail store, but I was up for a promotion one time, and I want to. I'll stop there. Before I go into that, I want to say that I lived in Alabama for 10 years, and I never dealt with the type of racism that I dealt with out here in Seattle. So out here in Seattle in my early 20s, I was up for promote a promotion, uh, and uh, during the interview process, this woman asked me if I could read,
Oh my
and I
goodness.
I laughed. Yeah, I laughed it off and I looked at her face, and she was dead serious. And I asked her, "Why would you ask me this question? Why are you asking me if I can read?" And she told me later on that this one person that I worked with in the store was telling everybody that she didn't think I could read, and that everybody knew that I was going to college. Everybody knew that I was writing a bunch of essays and stuff on certain things and getting praise in my English class for it. But she still was adamant about asking me if I could read or not, and I've never had that experience down south, but out here I did. I have people run up to me and ask me if I'm okay because cops are shooting people on the news. I had people go out of their way. I had a woman run across the parking lot in a store uh, parking lot. Almost got hit by a car just to come up to me and compliment my children. And she wanted to touch their hair. I've
What?
had so many people. Yeah, I had so many people out here in Seattle try to touch my children's hair because their hair is curly and fluffy and large. I don't know why they get the entitlement to believe that they can touch my
Hold
children's
on, hold
hair.
on, hold on,
And they
hold on,
look.
hold on. Random people will just come up to you and ask if they could touch your children. No, hell no.
Oh yeah, yeah. They'll try to. I had a woman try to kiss my
Oh,
kid on the mouth. Yeah, when they were a baby. Yeah, and they're always trying to touch their hair. Um, and it's only white people that do it. They talk to you differently, such as telling you when they request something from you. It's more of them telling you as if you're the help. And these people, they don't believe that they're racist because they worship Oprah and they read a couple books that she recommends, or they read a book by a minority. As a black man in America, you can decide which type of racism you have to decide at some point what type of racism you're going to deal with and how it's packaged. Usually, it's determined where you live. New England racism is a lot different than the Bible Belt dirty racists. Not not I'm not talking about these type of races though. I'm talking about the Northwest races, specifically Seattle races. As a black person in America, again, you have to decide what type of racism you like and how it's packaged. Me, I like mine straight shot, no chaser, raw, no bread, no lettuce, no mayo, no sides. Just give me the meats, like Arby's. Don't pretend to be my friend when your behavior indicates otherwise. That's why I have a preference of the Southern races over the Northwest races. The Southern races will at least warn you with the Confederate flag on their lawn, or their bed sheets with the holes cut out hanging on the clothesline outside, or their "Don't tread on me" signs. These are all equivalent to beware of the dog or no trespassing signs to black people. The Northwest races, they'll wear a BLM shirt. They'll donate to the cause, protest with us, just to fill their cups. Hell, even some of them even date black people. But when they're not on social media, when there's no one watching them in a group setting, they make racist jokes or go back to their black rich neighborhoods, lay their heads on their bed, and think that they made a difference because they tweeted something or said something profound to their
right.
white
And
friends.
it's not like we're
The-
condemning somebody making a racist joke. If it's in good fun and nobody's really offended, it's fine to do those. A lot of comedians even do those all the time. The difference is how you
yeah,
interpret it and how other people interpret your
yeah,
message. If it comes off as bad
and how
and other people perceive it as bad, the message comes across worse, and even if you didn't intend it.
yeah, and it's just really awkward, off key, just bad timing and terrible jokes. There's a lot of spectrums to the racism, and on one end there's the overt racism, and then on the opposite end of that, there's pity. And black people, we don't need your pity. We just need your respect as a human being. We don't need you to see us as a project to make yourself feel better or to validate your existence or to post on social media or to brag to your friends that you did something good today. We don't need any of that from you guys. We just need your respect. There's a lot of people here in Seattle that do things for black people just to fill their cups, just to say that they helped a black person or to perceive themselves as a good person. I One thing that really bothered me about this Seattle racism was when the Black Lives Matter movement was at its peak earlier this year and late last year. I noticed a lot of white businesses putting up the BLM signs at the height of the protest, hoping it would have the same effect as the blood smeared above the doors during Passover for the Jewish people in the Bible. But they took it down right after the coast was clear. At the height of the BLM movement, I'd walk around downtown and see it everywhere. And now I barely see one
I
BLM
see
sign
none
now
in LA.
that the over. You
No, I've
see a
seen
lot in
none.
LA?
There's no signs here.
Oh, yeah. But they were
Yeah, they were,
everywhere,
they were
weren't they?
everywhere. I even went to Boston last year and I saw them at pretty much, I would say, once every few blocks.
Yeah, so either the problem is solved or our lives don't matter anymore to these people. And again, they put the signs up hoping that the only reason I think that they put the signs up is hoping that the rioters, the small amount of rioters that happened that broke in businesses and stuff like that, wouldn't touch their businesses because they had the BLM sign up. This racism out here is a virus worse than the coronavirus. Everyone out here thinks that they have herd immunity because everyone is so like-minded here. They think that their like-mindedness only creates a the fact is that their like-mindedness only creates a vacuum or an echo chamber or a bubble where racism thrives. What if the racism is an incurable virus? Or once you have it, there's no cure, only therapeutics. You unknowingly transmit it to all your loved ones, to all your friends, all your family. And since these people up here are so stubborn and refuse to look at themselves, they create a bubble of like-minded people to protect themselves from what they qualify as racist. They only create a barrier between themselves and black people looking from the outside in. They see that there's two different racisms, and they're creating a barrier between themselves. And it's the racism of the Seattle Northwest people, which they assume is an acceptable form of racism. And there's the opposing form of bigotry from the conservative side. And now that everyone has this virus, the symptoms of the virus become the norm. So everyone believes that they have herd immunity, but in reality, the virus has reached the majority of the people. So the minority of these people, which is me and other black people, we stand back and just see all these people as infected with the same virus. And we're the ones suffering from it. Seattle has to take accountability for the covert racism that just festers here. It really bothers me. I don't think I'm doing it justice for what I'm trying to say, but Seattle has a huge racism problem. I felt like I needed to get that off
Do you
my
feel like
chest.
as it goes on, it'll start to get worse and worse? Like it'll start to escalate in a sense and
Yes,
go from just, subtle to outward and then worst being physical?
it may, but I think this is the worst form of racism because it's accepted as the norm, and they don't see it as racist. I think down south racism, they know that they're racist, and they don't care, but they know that they're racist. They know that their behavior is not it's not conducive for people of minorities to live next to them or be around them. They know that minorities don't like them and they don't like minorities. Out here in Seattle, they think that they're actually helping us,
Mm,
but they look down on us though,
it does.
if that
And
makes sense.
I think as it goes on, the worst part is they don't know that they're doing it, which I don't know if it's
Yeah,
entirely worse that they don't know that they're perpetuating this behavior, or if they do know and they're doing this on purpose, it just muddles up the whole relationship between minority groups, even minority to minority, and then minority to not to majority. It's it's disheartening to see in a lot of senses. Even in LA, you get this between even Asian groups here do it to each other to a certain extent. And there's been a lot of hate in that community as well. Speaking